Massive rocket explosion leads to anomaly sighting. This shocking discovery wasn't expected because the rocket exploded as soon as it hit the strange force about 30 feet above. The team couldn't believe their eyes. At the beginning of this experiment, the team was excited to have Burdett Anderson, who works for a firm known as Photron Cameras, join them at the Triangle to assist with the experiment. He is an expert in high-speed camera systems, which are capable of taking pictures at a rate of thousands of frames per second. The average human eye can discern somewhere between 24 and 30 images per second. If there are objects that are moving that you are just not quite capturing, utilizing a high-speed camera will allow you to get a really good look at it, provided that you are prepared for it. This is one of the advantages of using a high-speed camera out here. In addition, this camera is capable of shooting at frame rates of up to 1 million per second, and it was the camera that detected the anomaly following the rocket explosion. They intended to fire rockets upward via the Triangle, where we have observed a large number of UAPs and found what we think to be some kind of abnormality between 300 and 5,000 feet in altitude. While Burdett was photographing each launch at a rate of 1,000 frames per second using color and infrared cameras. They had high hopes that the cameras on Burdett will enable them to get a far better look at anything that may appear in the sky during tonight's rocket launches. They began to notice something not long after they had launched it. It redirected itself before it could arrive to the location of the anomaly. They had anticipated that it would fall exactly where they were standing now, behind them. Almost immediately after the first rocket was sent into the air, the crew noted that it abruptly veered a tiny bit off track, as if it had collided with something invisible that had deflected it. They have also witnessed that happening a number of times with other rockets and GPS devices at the Triangle. So I was really keen to quickly launch another rocket to see what would happen after that. Because the rocket was launched at such a great height, it is possible that it landed in the east field. The group became aware of a light that was coming from directly above them and moving at a rapid rate. An orange light on the other side of the river on the southwest bank was moving quite quickly and was hovering somewhere around treetop level. It was most certainly not a plane. After some time had passed, it appeared to be moving in a northern direction. But shortly after they fired their second rocket at the Triangle region, there was an appearance over Skinwalker Ranch of what was likely the most noticeable UAP anyone had ever seen. They became aware of something moving directly over them at that moment. It was traveling in a direction that was somewhat northeast. It was orange, and it definitely didn't appear like a satellite. Soon after that, it began moving in an east-northeasterly direction, directly over the property. They were genuinely surprised because none of them had ever seen an aircraft operate like this before. But Thomas's decision to have one of the crew members check his autonomous dependent surveillance transmitting tracker was the right one. It keeps a close eye on the signals that airplanes and jets are required to put out in accordance with government regulations. At first glance, it appeared to be traveling in a direction exactly north, but then it made an abrupt turn to the left and began to pick up speed. If the thing in question were a satellite, you could reasonably assume that the signal would start to decrease as time went on. Furthermore, at that stage, it would have already begun to lose its power. This provides further evidence to support the conclusion that it is not a satellite. It vanished in the blink of an eye. That thing maintained its brilliant luster until it suddenly disappeared. Then, out of the blue, they were confronted with a difficulty. It had burned to the ground because it had caught fire in the first place. The overheating of the motor caused it to fail. What do you think the explanation for that could be? The issue was with the vehicle's motor. It went off inside the rocket as it was taking off into the sky. They had seen it happen with prototypes of several different motors, but they had never seen a commercially available motor fail in such a dramatic way. When they became aware that there was a problem, they were moving at a rapid rate. Exactly at that moment, they looked at the camera and noticed something odd on it, something that not a single one of them had ever seen before in their lives. In the distance above the clouds, one could make out something. There was unquestionably something more going on there. It was at that point that they had the epiphany that they might have been witnessing an anomaly for the very first time. The rocket exploded the instant it came into contact with the anomaly. They replayed it numerous times to confirm that they had, in fact, seen what they believed they had seen. It goes up in flames after it came in contact with the rocket. They had been studying Skinwalker Ranch as a group for a total of 4 years before they finally obtained credible visual evidence of an unbelievable occurrence at the triangle. Burdett Anderson's high-speed camera caught a mysterious blob-like feature just as they were about to launch the rocket. This feature came from out of nowhere and caused the rocket to detonate, destroying everything in its path. Something was there, but none of them could see anything with their unaided eyes. The cloud did not suffer any damage. Because it did not move during the trial, it may be concluded that this is not an unusual occurrence in the land. They have been looking for a phenomenon that produces the energy spikes that they keep seeing. Might this be it? And does it have any connection to the UAPs that they've seen in the past? One of the few rays of hope is that they may finally be getting closer to figuring out some of the answers. This is one of the few bright spots. When all of the rockets that have landed in roughly the same region and subsequently veered off in the opposite direction are taken into account, this provides additional evidence that there is something in the sky. When they fired the third rocket, as soon as that rocket started blazing, they saw something that wasn't there in the second shot. This was something that they had not seen before. When they took a third image of the rocket, they noticed something that wasn't there when they took the second photo. Thomas is normally able to describe all that he sees in the high-speed camera when it records. They were unable to provide a clear explanation of what it is exactly. They had never seen anything even remotely similar emerge from a Photron camera before, to this point in time. They had no means of knowing what the occurrence was, but they now have a certain location in mind where they might concentrate their investigation. They are under the notion that they have won a prize that is both interesting and valuable. To them, it is only further evidence to support their position. The ranch, which is located in the western section of Uinta County and is next to the Uinta and Ouray Indian Reservation, is widely referred to as the UFO Ranch because of the purported history of weird incidents that are believed to have taken place there over the course of the past 50 years. These sightings are said to have involved extraterrestrial craft. According to Kelleher and Knapp, they witnessed or investigated evidence of close to 100 incidents. Some of these incidents include cattle going missing and being mutilated, sightings of unidentified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing red eyes that remained unharmed after being shot at, and invisible objects emitting destructive magnetic fields. Be sure to subscribe for more thrilling up-to-date content. One of the people working in the project was a retired colonel in the United States Army named John B. Alexander. He referred to the NID-Psi venture as a standard scientific approach-based attempt to acquire concrete data. On the other hand, the investigators claimed that they had difficulty obtaining evidence consistent with scientific publication. Over the course of several decades, accounts of cattle being mutilated for unknown reasons have become ingrained in the local folklore of the surrounding area. When Robert Bigelow, founder of the National Institute for Discovery Science, purchased the ranch in 1996 for the sum of $200,000, it was apparently because he had been convinced by the stories of mutilations recounted by the family of prior ranch owner Terry Sherman. According to reports, Bigelow was convinced by the accounts of mutilations because he had been convinced by the stories of mutilations provided by the family. These tales included accounts of peculiar lights and weird imprints created in the ground and grass. Bigelow is said to have been persuaded to buy the ranch as a result of the legends of mutilations that were told about the property. Shocking discovery that leaves research team perplexed. Click on the next video to find out what it is.